Man allegedly assaults two girls at a St. George park. Georgia woman sentenced for defrauding Washington County investors. And Main Street in Washington reopens.
You're watching St. George News at 5.
Good afternoon. I'm Monica McLaughlin. A 20-year-old man accused of sexually assaulting two minors in a park bathroom faces 5 first-degree felony charges. The suspect, Nicholas Palazzo, reportedly was seen engaging in sexual activity with 2 teenage girls. Officers learned that Palazzo had recently moved to southern Utah with the intent of going to college. Palazzo was booked into Purgatory Correctional Facility and is being held without bail. A Georgia woman, 54-year-old Stephanie Nicole Summers, will spend time in federal prison after a year-long FBI investigation revealed she defrauded more than a dozen victims in Washington County and beyond. We'll go to Cody Blowers for the details.
A 54-year-old Georgia woman, Stephanie Nicole Summers of Duluth, was sentenced to serve more than 3 years in federal prison during a hearing held in U.S. District Court in St. George on Wednesday. Summers pleaded guilty to federal wire and security fraud charges after the FBI conducted a years-long investigation into a scheme involving Summers and several co-conspirators that left victims across the country and beyond, including more than a dozen in Washington County that were defrauded of more than $960,000, federal prosecutors say. Funds the judge ordered the defendant to repay to her victims.
Thanks, Cody. Construction continues in what will be Exit 11 on Interstate 15, but Washington's Main Street is officially open, without the alternating traffic signals. We'll go to Haven Scott for more on this.
While much construction work still needs to be done in the area, Utah Department of Transportation resident engineer Riley Champneys told St. George News that Main Street in Washington City is officially open for business without the alternating traffic signals.
There may be some flagging that has to happen with say move materials across or do other work under the bridge. But for the most part, it's open to two-way traffic.
Currently, 1 lane in each direction is open for travelers to use going to and from Buena Vista Boulevard. Crews have also finished work on the center bridges that carry interstate traffic over Main Street and are currently finishing work on the outside bridges, Champney said. Pavement is complete on 3 of the 4 on and off ramps for the new Exit 11 interchange, yet much work still needs to be done installing fiber optics for automated traffic management systems used in traffic signals, cameras, and public warning message boards. Along with completing the outside portions of the bridge, work on guardrails and other wall supports must be completed before paintwork can be done and 3 lanes of travel open on the interstate. Champney said for total completion of the project, a late fall, early winter finish could be dependent on the weather.
I think at the end of the day, this is a really good project that will benefit a lot of people. Having a 3rd lane on I-15 is going to help me make my commute to work quite a bit. On weekends, you see that the traffic really picks up, and it seems like this is an area that has been congested quite a bit.
Once the fiber optics are in place, traffic lights will need to be installed at the Buena Vista Boulevard and Main Street intersection, as well as the Exit 11 on and off ramps. UDOT Regional spokesman Kevin Kitchen expressed gratitude for city and county leaders for partial funding, as well as residents for putting up with the mess.
It's really scary, I think, when you get a major infrastructure project coming through, particularly in those early phases of environmental, and people don't know what that's going to look like. They wonder about homes. They wonder about what's going to happen on my street, or they're worried about traffic increase, or what does it mean when I've got ramps coming into my city? And to people's credit, they really, I think, were engaged and worked this early on. And I think that what you're going to see here is a real good benefit to the city as well as, to the regional traffic flow.
The sidewalks on Buena Vista Boulevard are back open again for Washington City walkers previously dodging concrete work in the area. The sidewalks on Main Street remain closed as ongoing fiber optic work is taking place.
Thanks, Haven. As temperatures are predicted to be in the triple digits next week, health and public safety officials are urging residents and visitors to be mindful of the heat. We'll head over to Maury Kessler for the story.
With summer setting in across southern Utah and temperatures creeping toward those triple-digit temperatures, health and public safety officials are advising residents and visitors to be mindful of the heat and staying hydrated in order to avoid becoming a heat illness-related statistic. David Heaton of the Southwest Utah Public Health Department said getting a little sun is actually encouraged, but people should also take precautions if they are outdoors and in the heat for extended periods of time.
Probably the first thing we warn people about is just being exposed to the sun for too long. We actually recommend that people get a daily exposure of unprotected skin to the sun for about 15 minutes or so, because that helps with serotonin, nitric oxide, and vitamin D production. So we're meant to get a little bit of sunlight, but between 15 minutes to an hour outside without protective sunscreen or clothing, that's where it can start doing damage. They found that even one blistering sunburn as a child doubles your chances of getting skin cancer. Just again, a word to the wise, if you are going to be outside, try to avoid being outside during the heat of the day between 10 and 4. If you do have to be out, then wear a hat, wear sunglasses to protect your eyes. We do recommend sunscreen if you're going to be out for longer than 15 or 20 minutes. And so anything with like an SPF of 30 or above is a good idea. It protects from about 97% of the sun's rays. And once you put that on, you can reapply after a couple hours. But that's one way to stay safe, is just to make sure you cover up, seek shade, stay hydrated.
Heaton also detailed two of the dangers that the heat of summer can bring, namely heat exhaustion and heat stroke.
Heat exhaustion is where you've been exposed to the heat for a long time, you're getting dehydrated, you're going to be really excessively sweating, your skin's going to be pale, moist, and cool, kind of a faint, rapid heartbeat, nausea, weakness, even vomiting sometimes. And so if you're starting to feel that way, you just want to get into indoors and air conditioning, or drink a lot of fluids if available, and rest, and then usually that will calm down with about an hour or so. You want to get medical attention if those symptoms continue for longer than an hour. Now, heat stroke is when you can no longer sweat and cool yourself down. That's a medical emergency. And so that's where you stop sweating and your body temperature gets up to around 103 or above. Your skin is now red, hot, and dry. The pulse is rapid but very strong and throbbing. You can have a severe headache. People get confused and sometimes even pass out and become unconscious. And so if heat exhaustion reaches to the stage of heat stroke, where you can't cool yourself off anymore, you want to get medical attention as soon as possible, cool that person down with whatever means necessary, cool towels, a pool, bath water. You don't want to give them anything to drink yet. Let medical staff take care of that. But you just want to cool them down as soon as possible and get medical attention.
Washington County Sheriff Sergeant Daryl Cashin, who oversees the county's search and rescue team, also advises people to prepare more when visiting the outdoors and to pack enough water for those excursions.
What I would tell people is, first thing, know the trail that you're going on, know how long it's going to take you, and then plan for some extra time. But the biggest thing we're seeing, again, as I've repeated many times, is not taking enough supplies, specifically water. Really, at this time of year, water is essential. You really should be hydrating the day before you go on a hike to get your body really good and hydrated, and then continually drink the whole time you are hiking. That'll probably save you a lot of problem. One thing with dehydration that can become critical is the fact that you'll get so nauseated you won't be able to hold any water down, which makes you more dehydrated. And then you get altered mental status, and when that happens, it's become a critical situation where we are in a life-saving mode, potentially.
Thanks, Maury. Cedar City has taken the first few steps to bring a long-awaited park to its north side, but not everyone is happy with the steps being taken. Here's Alicia Lundgren with the story.
Over the last few weeks, the Cedar City Council discussed options for an upcoming park on the city's north end. Specifically, how much of the land designated for the park should be slated for commercial use. Multiple residents spoke against using any of this space for business, expressing concerns that doing so would reduce the amount of usable land for recreation. On May 22nd, resident Trish Topham presented the council with a petition requesting all the land be used for a park, after it garnered nearly 600 signatures.
And it's just a small representation of the great interest and resolve the North End residents and other residents have in the planning of the North Cedar City Park.
Ultimately, the council voted to table these discussions.
We start our focus on the south end of the park. That would be my motion. But
second, I have a motion and a second. Probably can be just a yay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? No. I think that was fine. Yes. Thank you.
However, discussions are expected to continue at a later date.
Thank you for watching St. George News at 5. I'm Monica McLaughlin with St. George News, your #1 source for local news.
This has been St. George News at 5.